Hello and welcome to Biomechanoid Blues. My name is Andy Popovic and this is my video blog. It has been a good 2 months or so since I posted episode 0, which was recorded on my phone and honestly was recorded in a completely different world. We had just started self-isolating because of the coronavirus. At this point, the expansion of the Black Lives Matter movement had not begun, and there were other things going on in the world. Also, just on a technical side, I realized exactly how much I needed a better microphone and how much more practice I needed with putting these together. I was originally going to start this with a joke, mainly about, how I am an aspiring writer who is looking for ideas by, sacrificing liquors to Guillermo del Toro, specifically the Funko Pop of Guillermo del Toro. But when I finally sat down to record that footage, we had something personal happen. We're cat owners, and one of our cats, Sasha, was frankly on the verge of death. She had advanced kidney disease, and we were honestly counting the weeks before we might lose her. So the tone on that original recording was off. But since then, she's, recovered to a surprising new normal, and we're actually allowing ourselves to experience a little bit of hope, especially now that she's increasingly whining about wanting her specific renal kibble. I figure complaints are a good sign from a cat. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering about Sasha, here she is. This is Sasha. She is the queen of the household. All will bow down before her. Bow down. So that brings me to, what's this episode 1 going to be about? And I'm going to fall back essentially on a character technique that J. Michael Straczynski, writer of Sense8, Babylon 5, and some really underappreciated novels, basically uses whenever he is describing a person. Who are you and what do you want? I'm going to add onto the end of that, what do I believe? So let's get started. My name is Andrea Rade Popovic. I hail from a Serbian-Venezuelan family. My mother is from Caracas. My dad is from Belgrade. I'm the first generation of both sides of my family born here in the U.S. in the Washington, D.C. area, thus proving that, the Washington, D.C. area pretty much gets a little bit of everyone. I studied communications and film. I am currently a customer success manager with a software company that helps nonprofits. So my job is to make sure that, folks who are doing good work out there in the world get to stay adequately funded and send out their message to people. But what I really am and what I want is to be something beyond that. I want to be a published author. In addition to my, hobbies of photography, model making, spending entirely too much time online, I do write and attempt to get short stories published. By the way, if anyone's interested, you can look for my short stories in the anthologies The Death of All Things, Alien Artifacts, and Portals. And if you go to my website, Biomechanoid Blues, you'll be able to find links to purchase them there. I do encourage you, and please do this for every author that you like, read review, and recommend. So you never realize how important those little Amazon reviews are until you don't have enough to actually get brought up by the algorithms. So, what do I believe then? Well, first, just to strongly say this, I am anti-authoritarian, anti-fascist, and I believe that everyone deserves and not only should have an equal chance at all the things that this country is supposed to stand for. I want to get that out of the way first and foremost. Both sides of my family came to the U.S. hoping to escape things that led to being required to join the military in order to make sure to have a level of safety should something happen with the current strongman, or someone reporting in your Bubby Ivana and having her dragged off by the secret police, or maybe a government official coveting your family farm and deciding that your great uncle stood in the way and taking care of that with a knife, and no one else doing anything about that. So I feel very, very strongly that we must and should still work to make America actually live up to the ideals that it put into paper. And that's hard work. But if that means that some folks over here think I don't deserve to be listened to, that's fine. I'm going to give you a little bit to stop the video right now and move on to another author. So here, I'll give you just a little bit. But what do I believe otherwise? Well, I believe there is a power in art, in the written word, and especially in storytelling. Storytelling crafts our world. It impacts us. When we read a story, one that resonates, like, an opera singer singing that note that gets that glass vibrating just enough, it will change everything. It will shatter our perceptions. It will inspire us, possibly anger us, but we're not going to be the same person afterwards. And for me, the most powerful kind of storytelling comes from imaginative storytelling. That's why I love science fiction, fantasy, horror, weirdness, slipstream, things that will take the world as we know it and look at it slightly askew. This is where I feel that we dream up both what we want the world to be and what we're terrified it actually is. And we can use that to speak to people, to talk to them about that world that we're seeing right now. Now, I admit I am pretty much a nobody as far as writing goes. I'm not a big networker. I only have a few short stories here and there. I'm still working to get published. The novels that I've written so far are trunk novels at this point. But my goal, as hairy as it is to eventually hone my craft, hone myself, and hone my passion to the point where someone goes to one of those collections, or maybe one of my future novels, or another short story I've written, possibly even a screenplay if I want to get back into that world, and comes back thinking, I want to write, I want to speak, I want to tell stories. And there are a lot of different ways of doing that. I believe that everyone has a story to tell. I think a lot of folks just don't know or can't find the right way to tell that story. For some people, it is the old-fashioned way, just telling the story about how their mom and dad met, talking with friends. For others, they go through what I go through. They try to write and describe and, use things like this. Photographers tell stories through their cameras, through capturing moments. It's another thing that I strive through. But I think everyone has a story to tell. And I think we want to make sure those stories get listened to. Most importantly, no one's story gets suppressed. This is the last thing that I believe. Unfortunately, I believe that given a chance, we will fall back into bad habits. That's part of the reason why I am doing this, is to make myself accountable for what I believe. I'm stating outright, this is what I want to do. This is who I am and whom I see myself as. And I want to hold myself responsibility. Make sure that, when I actually come out and say, hey, this is what I want to do, I actually go ahead and do it. That also means that I want to support the stories of people who have not been heard. Because there is a machine. Publishing is an industry. And like any industry, it means that some voices don't get what they deserve. Maybe one of these episodes I'll tell you about experience I had in communications and film school, seeing the works of Oscar Micheaux for the first time, and learning essentially about an entire cinema that most everyone didn't know existed. And I'm really thankful for a teacher who showed me that. But I think that's my last really core belief, is that through storytelling, through preserving, expanding, and discussing those stories, we can not only shape what is to come, but keep alive what was and make sure it does not get forgotten. So yeah, those are my grand, lofty ambitions for this. And this blog is a way of helping me do this. I hope to talk here about filmmaking, photography, storytelling, other things like that, while occasionally throwing in, jokes involving sacrifices to small Funko Pops. Well, thank you all for listening. I hope you're well and safe. Be seeing you.